Hey everybody, Dr. Ahmed Najim here. I am a clinical and forensic psychologist, as well as a body language expert. Today, we are going to be building a profile of Nancy Guthrie's kidnapper. Before we get started, just a couple of quick things. First, I want to make sure you know this is not a psychological evaluation of any kind. These are just my opinions. In addition to that, I do want to remind you to like and subscribe if you want to see more content just like this. All right, let's go. On January 31st, 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie was kidnapped. What we're going to be analyzing today is footage of the kidnapper. We're also going to be talking about the psychology of the kidnapping, and then we're going to talk about the impact that Savannah Guthrie's, the victim's daughter, might actually have on the kidnapper or kidnappers. We're going to get into all of that. Now, you may have watched this video a bunch of times, but I'm going to go over details you may or may not have seen. We're going to go back and walk through it frame by frame as much as we can, so I can tell you everything that I'm observing right here. We're going to start, obviously, with this individual with his head bent down, likely trying to avoid any chance that there is a camera above this archway, because that would be a common place to put a security camera. And obviously, if you watch the way this person is walking, it seems clear to me that this is a male. Now, right there, they just realized there is a Nest Cam. The reason they didn't know this is because the Nest Cam looks unusual. That's part of the reason why I don't think that this is someone who has intimate familiarity with this house. What is very obvious, clearly this person is wearing gloves on top of other gloves. So these are nitrile gloves, medical or rubber gloves, on top of probably what are leather gloves. This person is halfway covering the camera to the point where we get a couple of glances at their face. We can very clearly see what this person looks like a couple of times. So this is not somebody who is used to doing this. This is not somebody who is a professional thief, at least not one in this way. They're not professional burglars. And they were looking right into the camera. It looked like they were trying to pull it off or trying to figure out how to get it off. Obviously, it's not so simple, so instead they've decided they're going to cover it up. So they're trying to cover it physically while they turn around because they're really not able to think through this clearly. I don't think they understand the point of view of a Nest Cam very well. So he grabs a handful of flowers right there, looks over the left shoulder and continues to walk forward. But they don't do anything right now to obscure their face. They're looking back to make sure nobody's watching. They're more concerned about who's watching right here versus getting spotted on this camera, which means they think they're not going to be recognized. Obviously, you see that the holster is in front of him. It's in an unusual position. I don't think this is somebody who's used to carrying a firearm. On top of that, wearing nitrile gloves on top of other gloves, if you were expecting to actually have to use it, if you were expecting to actually fire it, I don't think that you would be set up this way. So I don't think that this person is anticipating using their gun. I think they're going to use it as a threat. I don't think that they are planning on actually using it. And the fact that they're wearing it on the outside of their clothes, they want it to be visible. If this was somebody who really was trying to hide it, they would have had it hidden inside their clothes so that nobody could spot it. They're walking out in public assuming nobody's going to look at them, and they want to have it ready, so when this person sees Nancy Guthrie, he can threaten her with it. And I think that the hope is that he wouldn't even need to take it out of his holster. It's right there, you can see it. If you don't do what I say, I am armed, and so on and so forth. Now I want to show you the backpack. There's a detail that I haven't heard anybody talk about, so I zoomed way in so you can see this. The backpack is actually open. I think that whatever is in there is so big that they can't keep it closed. The zipper may have actually busted at the top. I want you to watch this right here. See? The top of the backpack is actually open. As we go forward, you can see it better. Like I said, I'm going to cover this a couple of times, but I think there's a tarp or something like that in there. So when he leans over, it looks closed, right? But when he goes down here, it fell back open again. See, as you can see, it's actually open at the top. There's something black in there. I really think it's a tarp or something similar. So something is in there that's so big and so bulky that it just busted open. I think it actually tore open more right when he stepped down, and it looks open from the top right there too. Let's take one last look at that. I know this may not be the most important detail, but at least it gives us some insight into the inside of that bag. Now let's talk a bit about the profile of the kidnapper, because everything about this case is peculiar. Everything about it is strange, and I think people keep trying to make sense of it because it is so odd. Now, when we think, why would you choose an 84-year-old woman with a high degree of medical needs as a kidnapping victim? My initial reaction is that they knew that she has medical needs, and that's why she was chosen. It would be an easy way to have somebody pay ransom. You know that if your mother doesn't get her needs met, then that will be problematic, so maybe they'll pay the ransom more quickly. So to me, that speaks to somebody potentially who understands her medical history. The reason I go that direction is, why out of anybody in the whole world that they could choose for ransom, why would they choose someone so high profile? So I have a couple of working theories. One is that it's somebody who works in healthcare, somebody who knows her medical history, has heard her medical history, and also happened to hear that she has a famous daughter and thought this would be a great way to make money. It's crazy because I don't think that most criminals would think that way, but this could be somebody who needs money, somebody who's in a tight spot, somebody whose spouse told them about this. Who knows? It could be somebody who heard about Nancy Guthrie through somebody else, but it seems like hearing it through somebody that works in healthcare makes the most sense to me. That would be where she has the most exposure, and for somebody to understand her specific vulnerabilities. I don't know why else they would choose her as a kidnapping victim. It just doesn't make any sense. The other piece of it could be that this could be a couple, and when I say a couple, I mean a literal couple, like a boyfriend-girlfriend kind of couple, or a married couple. Because the ideas are so bad, I do think that two people that don't know what they're doing may have had to play off each other to come up with this idea. When bad ideas are shared and they're agreed upon, they can get reinforced. So you may have two people with very bad ideas that are playing off each other, and this very well could have been what happened. And I've got some theories as to how this person got away, how they took Nancy Guthrie away, and I think it involves a getaway driver, for lack of a better term. So here's part of my reasoning for why there might be two people involved. It's this glove right here. So a nitrile glove, the one that you saw him wearing on top of his other gloves in that video a minute ago, was found less than 2 miles from the house, but it would have been a very challenging walk to get there. I don't think that this person could have carried Nancy Guthrie, and I would be shocked if she could walk a whole lot farther than those couple of miles. Because if you think about the fact he had a gun, if there was apparently blood found outside the home, so he may have struck her to make sure that she followed exactly what he said. So she very well could have just walked along with him and done whatever it is that he told her to do. Now we're going to watch a brief video that Savannah Guthrie released to the kidnappers. This is a message to them. I want to explain the psychological impact this could have on the kidnappers. I'm not going to do body language or anything like that, but I am going to tell you about what it would be like for the kidnappers to watch this. So the first thing you're noticing is that she does tend to be very middle of the road when she speaks about this. She tends to be fairly monotone. She's not crying. It looks like she maybe has been crying, but she's not actively crying right now. And this can be an important part of trying to connect with kidnappers, because if you are strongly emotional, they will probably get annoyed with you. They will get agitated. These are not compassionate people. The hope is that they will hear this message, that something about this will land with them. But if you try to beg and to plead, there are certain types of behaviors that just won't do anything. So I get her approach to this. I don't know if somebody has told her that this is the approach she should have, but it probably is the right approach for doing something like this, even if for some people they may not fully understand her style when she talks to the abductors. And as I said, trying to be middle of the road when it comes to the emotions, trying to be very balanced, that is a smart approach for something like this. Trying to be strongly emotional just that's not going to evoke the kind of response you want. You're trying to evoke a logical response from somebody. On the one hand, you want it to be emotional in the sense that you want them to feel like they can maybe get out of this, but you also want them logically to realize, okay, I might actually have a way out of this. This doesn't have to end badly. So really, who I think this is speaking to is not so much the captor, not so much the actual kidnapper themselves. Hopefully this is speaking to people who know who has Nancy Guthrie. But as far as for the actual kidnapper themselves, I find it fairly unlikely that this would have much of an impact on them. And as Savannah Guthrie reaches out to the kidnapper, I think that this is far more likely to affect the people near the kidnapper, the people that know who the kidnapper is.
Somebody knows this is. There is no question that people have seen that image, that people have seen the face in that Nest Cam. Somebody knows who this is, and this hopefully will reach them if they have held back or if they have not reported it so far. Alright, let's go and start to wrap things up. Hopefully this is helping you better understand some of the behavior and body language of the kidnapper, as well as the potential profile of who it might be, the type of person that might have done this, and how they got this far doing something like this. And as you can see, as Savannah Guthrie reaches out to the kidnapper, I think that this is far more likely to affect the people near the kidnapper, the people that know who the kidnapper is. Somebody knows this is. There is no question that people have seen that image, that people have seen the face in that Nest Cam. Somebody knows who this is, and this hopefully will reach them if they have held back or if they have not reported it so far. If you have any other thoughts about this, or if there's anything else you want me to analyze, please let me know in the comments below.